People have tried. Steve Madden, Minnetonka, Brown, USAID has spent over $10 million in Ethiopia, in where I work, trying to get exports going out of Africa into the United States through these companies. I mentioned brands that a lot of people know. We are nobody. They have come, they have failed, they have not come back. We are the only company still standing, as small as we are. We'll do a little under $1 million this year. Because why? We have a very unique way of doing business. We don't treat Africa like a dumping ground, because it's not. It has some of the brightest people in the world, if not the brightest people in the world. We leverage the resources that are available, and we don't extract it like every mining company does. I mean, people have been in Africa for a while, but all they do is come with their fancy shovels and dig stuff out of the ground and send it offshore. I'm not here to have a fancy shovel. We can use natural resources, we can build talent, we can use the available skills, and that's what we do. So, Oil Liberté is the first premium shoe company that makes its footwear exclusively in sub-Saharan Africa. We have two main goals: to be the largest exporter of shoes out of Africa. We made 15,000 shoes this year, and somehow we're the largest exporter out of Africa. It's pretty sad. But we want to continue to be the largest exporter. Two, we want to create indirectly and directly 1 million jobs on the continent. And I do believe we can do that as we continue to roll out our model. What is our model? We're not fair trade, we're not socially responsible. And why do I hate the word socially responsible? Because it's disgusting that in this time of year, this time of age, that we actually have to call a business social because all other businesses are evil. Why is it that my parents, who bust their butts off every day in their late 60s to employ dozens of people in all their families, put food on their table, why are they not social? Why? Because they sell furniture and they don't cut trees? No, they are just as social as I am. And so in my opinion, there's no reason why you should be calling a business social now. This is the way we should be doing business. You should be taking care of your workers, paying them well, respecting the environment. This is how business should be done, period. There should be no label of social entrepreneur, social business, social enterprise. It's fucking bullshit. And I'm sick of it. Why? Because this is how you need to take care of it. So normally I ask people to raise their hands, but out of respect to them, I won't. Anybody here today that said, I want to be a social entrepreneur in some way, shape, or form, let today be the last day you say that to yourself. Be an entrepreneur. Be an entrepreneur that stands on his or her own feet, whether it's a Muslim woman, or whether it's a Jewish Ethiopian, or whether it's a Christian or a Catholic in Sao Paulo. It does not matter. You have the opportunity to do everything and anything you want to do. And the number one thing every religion, every culture talks about is respect for each other. And so why are we not doing that in business? And therefore every business should be social. So without going into too much of a monologue and preaching on that, the key of that, it's hard. So that all of our factories, we outsource currently. All of our factories have a minimum 50% women in all key major roles, everything from administration to manufacturing. We pay above premium prices, which is not fair trade. And everybody asks, are we fair trade? Who here is familiar with the term fair trade? For those that aren't, it means that you have an official certification that means you pay and treat your workers properly and well. I have a lot of respect, and I know the people that provide those certifications, but that certification is a bunch of crap. Because here's the thing. Let's say I go to my factory, because we're now building a factory in Ethiopia in the next 6 months. It'll be running in October. It'll be our own, on our own premise. Everything's on our own. Great. And everyone says, oh, you're going to be fair trade certified. Now here's what you have to imagine. Suddenly, I start paying all of our workers more. Suddenly, I start giving them, paying more for our raw materials, for our leather. We sometimes need help from some of these other factories. And if suddenly the other factories start hearing we're paying more for the workers are starting to demand more at those factories, while yes, in theory it sounds good, it is a political disaster. We had a situation at a factory, the first factory we worked with, we told the workers, if you guys deliver on time and a certain amount of quality, in terms of percentages, that won't be issues, we'll give you a 20% raise for that month of production, because we don't take care of all their production for the year. But we said, when we're producing shoes with you, we'll give you a 20% raise. You know what started happening? Somehow it got word that this factory was paying everybody 20%. People were quitting from other factories, applying literally in lineups at this factory, and we were gone the next month. They couldn't get their jobs back. It was a disaster. And so while fair trade might not be something we're looking for, how do we do it in a unique way? We're not going to pay our workers more. But what we're going to do is, instead of them working 5.5 days, which is required in Ethiopia, we pay them for 5 days. They don't work Saturday. The entire month of August is off. fully paid for. Women, year mat leave. We provide them health insurance. We provide them a lot of benefits, but they get the exact same salary as all their colleagues. But how we improve their lives is through all these extra things. So we don't get fair trade certification, but it goes to what we call fair play. It's our own fair play metrics, because what matters is what matters to us, and what's what our employees and our workers at the factories tell us what matters to them. Now all that stuff is great. We can make stuff, we can help people, we can build factories. But if you can't sell shoes, it does not matter. And that's the biggest challenge of what we do. This is what we call our puzzle. We're a small company. We make our shoes in Ethiopia, we have a bag line coming out of Zambia, we have our rubber in Liberia, we have a warehouse in New Jersey, a third party, warehouse in Mississauga, we're about to have a warehouse in the Netherlands, we have a distributor in Holland, we have a sales agency in Toronto, a sales agency in New York, we have 10 workers in Ethiopia, and we're now starting to look at a couple of other countries. We're under $1 million. You know how much of a headache we go through on a daily basis? It's unbelievable. The challenge with that is we're in a very competitive market. Shoes are, it's a hyper-competitive market. We're dealing with the Clarks, the Timberlands, you name it. And also, we're making our stuff in Africa. There wasn't a single bank, line of credit union that wanted to touch us with a 10-foot pole. What? Factory in Africa? What? Shoes? Go fuck yourself. With all due respect, the BDC is a great organization, but they were useless to us. With all due respect, the banks, all 6 major, are so conservative, they're so obtuse in understanding how to properly lend to small businesses, we are too risky for them. Now, I get it, we're risky. And so what did we do? And the reason I bring this up is people say it's so hard. I've invested now probably close to $250,000 in my own money into this business. Do I have $250,000? No, I literally begged, stole every single way I could possible. What I mean by beg and stole is, I pay outrageous interest rates on loans. I find sharks, that's what they are. I paid 19, 20, 25% over a 4-month period. It's the only way I can run my business. Why? Because somebody's not going to help me. I'm not going to sit there and cry and say, oh, this sucks, I can't get a loan. There are ways. It sucks. There's some very expensive ways. But you can find big amounts of money in a very, very unique way. You have to put up your house, put up your house. You have to put up your business, you have to put up, not my wife, but you have to put up whatever. Whatever you need to do, you do. And it's for one simple reason. There are 4 billion people in the entire world that would switch with you in a heartbeat right now with the opportunities that you have being in this country. My parents immigrated to this country when they were 45, 46, 47. They had $270 in their pocket. That's not true. People just talk about it. They make probably more than $270 in their pocket, but they didn't have a lot. They didn't speak the language. And they built a successful business. So what happens? You're bankrupt in 5, 10, 15 years? Who gives a shit? You are going to be just as rich and just as poor as Bill Gates when you're dead. So you might as well have a lot of fun trying while you're here and make things work. I got a mortgage, I have a child, we have daycare fees, my wife and I have huge student loans. So what? It's just money. I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard. I know there's some people here that are over 45, maybe 60, 65. Colonel Sanders started a successful, disgusting KFC. But he's swimming in grease down under there. There's money to be made. And you have time. It doesn't matter how old you are. So whether you are 50, or what, I don't know if that's legally allowed, whatever age is legally allowed to start running a business. Whether you're 18, whether you're 25, whether you're 35, 55, or 105, there is no reason that money should ever be the obstacle. There is no reason, because people don't give you money. That being said, CYBF did help us a little bit, so I do need to put a little asterisk there. We're very grateful for that. But in the grand scheme of things, of what we were doing, it was a very, very small amount. Have big goals, have big dreams. People will tell you all the time it's not going to happen, it's difficult. Again, we make our shoes in Africa. You want to know the call I got 7 months ago? Our rubber supplier. We were going between 2 rubber suppliers, and they were always going to, this other place was going to be our backup option. You know the call that I got? We can't use those guys anymore that you originally thought were shady, and we decided not to use them. I'm like, well, why not? His workers were so pissed off at the way, we did never work with this factory, so that's a very important fact. His workers were so upset with how he treated them, they shot him, shaved him, and burned him. Anybody have that happen in their business on their Yesterday, perfect example, volcano erupts over Eritrea. all airlines out of Ethiopia, Eritrea are not flying out. We have a deal with the Ethiopian government. It's not environmentally friendly, but it allows us to catch up. We fly all of our goods by air out of Ethiopia into the United States for $1.50 a kilo, which is cheaper than anybody ships out of China. We're about to enter our spring season, which for us is trade show season. If I don't have those samples on time, I am screwed. Means the next 6 months, I'm going to be working with my wife as a midwife. I don't know. All right? She's a midwife. That's why. But what I'm trying to say is, these are things we have to deal with. So how do we deal with them? We find another frickin' airplane and we get it out of the country. Or we drive it over the border to Sudan and we get it out of the country. Problem, trust me, we have problems. It's not easy, but the one thing is you have all the money in the world because it's out there. You just have to find it or work for it. But I can't lie. I have an amazing support system. I have a wife that somehow doesn't want to go to fancy dinners anymore because I'm a trader otherwise. But I haven't brought in a real income in about 6.5 years. I did very well as a sales rep. I used to work in pharmaceuticals. I was 23, 24. I was making around 120, 125 grand a year. I think combined, the last 7 years I've made less than that. I don't care. Again, I have a great wife. That helps. But that's actually a very helpful but a very important lesson because all the money is in the world and you do need important. Now, one thing I will say, which is not easy for everybody to swallow, for anybody here that is single, that isn't married, don't rush it. This is kind of a sensitive touch. I will explain very, very eloquently why I'm a first. I love my wife to death. She is the love of my life and will always be the love of my life. A realistic thing is, when you have somebody else in your life, you're devoted to them, and you should be devoted to them just as much as you are to your business. And the reality of it is, that eats up time. There's nothing wrong with that. It's amazing, and I'm not saying push away love. But I run to a lot of, especially young entrepreneurs, like, oh, when am I going to find the right one? Or I met this girl, this guy's kind of great and cute, but I got to run my business. If you really want to run your business, first of all, true love will happen, but I'm not like Dr. Phil, so we'll leave that alone. But don't rush that part. If you really want to be an entrepreneur, it's a sacrifice. It really is. I'm married, but I don't sleep. I was traveling across Africa for 3.5 weeks. It's not easy. It is fucking hard. And I use that word a lot because it is. There's nothing easy about being an entrepreneur. But here's the pretty exciting thing. 3 weeks ago, and unfortunately I can't get into too much of the details, I get a call. I get a call from a CEO of a very large company. I won't say the name, but let's say they do over close to $1 billion in revenue. And they say, you might be small, but you have something that nobody else has. Would you be interested in us buying you out? I told my wife, she's like, take it. It's even an offer. She's like, $5, take it, I don't care. We're not big. You don't have to be big to be noticed. And that's a really interesting point. I'm not interested in selling, and they're also not interested in buying, so we're good. Actually, they are interested in buying, but at a later date, maybe. But the point is, you don't have to be big to be noticed. You don't have to be smart to be successful. But you do have to be a little bit of lucky. And where's the moccasin or eagle, right? Oh, sorry, I can't remember what was the animal. Sorry, the bird, the chicken that fought, right? Here's the thing about luck. A lot of people say, oh, that guy's so lucky. It happens to me. I started my business. I've been trying to raise $500,000. Luckily, I had a very generous investor that came in when nobody else did. He's in the room, so thank you very much. But it was a struggle. And I meet people. Oh yeah, I just met this guy. He just gave me $2 million to start my company. I just met this guy. Gave me $4 million. Where the fuck was that guy when I needed him? It's not easy. But I am a firm believer. The longer you stick around, the luckier you get. And that's the key. Work hard, go all in. Money's not everything. And I'll leave with this quote, because it's kind of a key quote. There's 2 quotes. Business can do amazing things. And today is only the same day as yesterday if you do absolutely nothing about tomorrow. Thank you very much.